I really want to put in like a good 3 or 4 hours and get a solid, like, grindy $300 win. I changed my mind. I would like to cooler somebody. I don't need to grind. I'll just take an easy win. Can I undo what I said earlier? I'll just take an easy win. Brody, do you think they're real? Hey, Brody, they're not real. Brody, they're not real. Come on, buddy. Brody, come on. I told you, Brody. I told you it was fake. All right, come on. Come on. Back at Lucky Chances today. I lost big last time. The video didn't do well. I just feel like we need a win. I'm being too results oriented. I just want to play well. If I play well, the rest will take care of itself. Hopefully I end up at a juicy table. You never really know on a Thursday night. Sometimes it's all pros or regulars, and sometimes there are some fishies in there. So I am hoping for that. Either way though, I want to grind myself to a victory. Like, I don't want some, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll take aces against kings and have it hold up. But I really want to put in like a good 3 or 4 hours and get a solid, like, grindy $300 win. If at any point, if I'm up over $500, I'll probably just take it to get the win under my belt. But I think realistically, we're going to see if we can grind, be patient, make big folds, read my opponents. Against the really aggressive players, fight back with aggression. Against, you know, the ones that aren't young kids, just make the folds and be okay with it. The $100, $150 hands are not going to wreck me. It's the $600 mistakes that wreck me. Let's get some of this confidence back. Time to grind our way to a victory. Let's go. Let's do this for the puppies. Literally the first hand at the table, and I look down at red pocket queens on the straddle. I hurry up and get my camera ready as soon as I can, not before it folds to the big blind, who raises to $20. The nerve, this man trying to steal my straddle on my first hand. I could just call, but I've got pocket queens. That's the third best hand you can have. So I raise it to 65. He calls, and we go off to a flop in position, which comes 8-8 deuce. He checks. I bet 45. I should be in really good shape here, and he pretty quickly folds. Nothing major, but hey, we'll take a win to start the night off. Next orbit through, sitting in mid position, and we have ace jack of hearts. After someone limps, we bump it up to 45 and get calls from the hijack, the button, and the small blind. So we're going 4 ways in the middle of it all with a pot of around $200 to a flop of king 10-5 with 2 hearts. It's a good flop for my range, and it's a good flop for my holding. Sure, we don't have a pair, but we've got an overcard, a straight draw, and the nut flush draw. It checks to me. In the middle of 4 people, I decide to check to realize my equity. The aggressive player sitting in the hijack bets 130, and the small blind sticks in the call. With a little over $600 remaining, I could just call and hope that I hit, or I could just rip it in. If I rip it in, I get to realize my fold equity, and if I get called, I'm still in really good shape. Nobody else is going to have kings here. Nobody else is probably going to have 10s here either, although I guess it's possible. So unless someone has a set of 5s, there's probably a good chance that we take it down. And again, if somebody gets sticky with a king, we've got really good equity with all the draws plus the overcard. So that's what we do. We go all in, and then the waiting game commences. The hijack goes back and forth, looks at me, I look at him back. I try not to crack a smile. Do any of you have this issue about managing your emotions and your facial expressions when people look at you? After much back and forth, the hijack tosses his cards into the muck, and then the waiting game begins on the small blind. He very clearly has a king, so it's just a matter of whether or not he wants to risk it or not. I'm going to have ace king, I'm going to have pocket kings, I'm going to have pocket 10s, and I'm also going to have pocket aces. It's really a brutal spot for somebody with just a single pair, and eventually he folds. Both of them acknowledge having a king in their hand. The aggressive player in the hijack says, I was trying to convince myself that you had ace queen of hearts or ace jack of hearts. I just couldn't do it. I know how you play. Had to let it go. I never told him, but if you're watching the vlog now, I had ace jack of hearts. You could have stuck in that call with a pair of kings, but even with that said, we were still about flipping. It feels good to scoop this pot where we profit over $400. This night is off to a great start. Let's keep it going. One orbit later, and I'm on the straddle again. The low jack raises to 30. The cutoff calls. It folds to me, and I look down at ace 10 offsuit. This screams 3-bet to try and isolate or take it down, but for whatever reason, I decide to just call. With a pot of $91, we go to a flop of ace 7-4 with 2 diamonds. We check it over to the initial raiser, and the low jack continues for 45. The cutoff folds, and I could go either way with just a call or with a raise, and I decide to just stick in the call. The turn brings in the 6 of hearts. The low jack bets 130, and I check raise to 340, as this is going to be a good card for me most of the time. This is what I would do if I had a set or a 2 pair, and let's put him in an uncomfortable situation. So I make it 340. He tanks for at least 90 seconds, and eventually lets his cards go. I'm not sure if I like this play, as I think I'm going to fold out all of his bluffs, and I'm only going to get called by better hands. I also think this is exactly how I would play it if I had a set or if I had 2 pair like 7-6. Let's keep getting good hands and hitting these flops. All right, this is a fun one. I've got king of hearts, queen of spades. Tonight, I've been trying to avoid punting off my stack on some of these 3-bet hands that are on the lower end of the range. So when the low jack raises to 30, I just go ahead and stick in the call from the straddle. With a pot of $61, we go to a flop of ace, ace, 3 rainbow. This is definitely going to hit his range way harder than it's going to hit mine, so I go into check fold mode. But surprisingly, he checks it back. I could see him doing this with an ace, but I also think that if he missed, he would probably c-bet because of the range. So I'm not really sure what's going on here. Is he getting tricky, or does he just have air? Is he afraid of my image? I'm not sure what's going on here, but we go to a turn of the 8 of clubs. I check, expecting him to bet again, and once again he checks. So either he sees me as super tight, or for whatever reason, he's just not feeling good about his hand. Maybe he raised with 6-7, some sort of suited connector that just hates this flop. So surprisingly, he checks back on the turn, and we go to the river of the jack of hearts. If he's got one of those suited connectors, I'm probably better off just checking, hoping he checks back and seeing if my king is good at showdown. But he bets $40. I'm not sure what's going on here. I don't think if he had a lower pocket pair that he would bet this for value. So unless he had a hand like queen jack suited or jack 10, his bet doesn't really make sense. Let's say he had 9s or 10s. I really don't think he would put out this value bet. I think he would just check it back and realize his equity. And if he had an ace, I think he would have bet on the turn. So I think about this for a while, and my king might be good. There's a pot of $61. It's only 40 to call. So we really don't need to be right very often. Oftentimes, I don't have the courage, but this time I do. I muster up the call and stick in $40, and he shows pocket aces. We almost had him. We were either way ahead or way behind there. That's unfortunate. We lost this one, but we'll get him next time. For whatever reason, I keep getting action when I'm on the straddle. This time, I look down at red pocket jacks. There's one limper, and then the button raises to 45. I 3-bet to 140, and everyone gets out of the way. So we hop back into the win column with this one. We bring $61 more back to our stack than we had before, and now we've got momentum on our side moving into the next hand. Pocket queens, and we are first to act. We raise to $35, and it folds all the way around to the small blind, who we just bullied around with our pocket jacks. He decides to 3-bet to 120. I've been 3-betting and raising this player a few times, so only one orbit after I took down the pot with pocket jacks. He returns the favor and 3-bets to 120. I'm obviously not going anywhere. I'm in position. I've got one of the best hands you can have. I stick in the call, and we're going heads up to a flop of 10-5 deuce. He continues for $200.
The pot's 248, and this seems like he's really trying to take it down. I definitely can't fold. I put him on a hand like ace king, most likely. Maybe he's got jacks, but I think if he had aces or kings, he probably wouldn't go so large. He'd probably try and get value for me here. So with this sizing, I just put him on something that I'm ahead of. So instead of just calling, I decide to try and protect my equity. I do a min raise to 400. He hesitates for a couple seconds and then goes all in. Okay, I don't think he's doing this with ace king, so we're probably behind, but I look at his stack and it's only another 345 to call. I know I'm beat. I know I'm beat! But I still put in the money. I convince myself that, hey, maybe I'm good. Maybe I'm up against jacks. He's never playing jacks this way. What am I thinking? This has to be a fold. But I can't bring myself to fold queens on a 10 high board. So even though I know I'm no good, I call. He shows me the bad news. He's got pocket aces. The turn's a 10. The river is a 4 of spades. We chip down $865, and the night's been going great, and all of a sudden my profits have turned into debt.
I changed my mind. I would like to cooler somebody. I don't need to grind. I'll just take an easy win. Can I undo what I said earlier? I'll just take an easy win. But also shame on me. I was up probably $700 there, and I pushed it. I didn't listen to what I said. I could have locked in the win. I was over 500. I said I would walk if I was up over 500, and I was up over 7. And I tempted fate. So now I'm down, and I'm after that grinding $300 win that we talked about earlier. Why did I say that? What? I don't know why I said that. That was silly of me. But that's poker. That's gonna happen. You're gonna run queens into aces and lose badly. And that's what happened. So we're trying to climb out of the hole. Let's see if we can do it.
The very first hand after I come back from getting felted with queens, I have queens on the button. Low jack raises to 20, and I 3-bet to $70. The low jack makes the call, so we go to a flop of jack 5-4 with 2 spades. It's not a great flop for my range, but it's good for my hand. When it checks to me, I continuation bet for $80, and the low jack quickly folds. We tick down $81 and get back to our winning ways with pocket queens. It might be tough to keep the positive momentum when we look down at ace-6 suited, one of the hands that we're not very good at playing yet. We get a limper and bump it up to $45. We get a call from the straddle and from the low jack, so we're going 3 ways in position to a flop of ace, king, deuce, rainbow. Nobody else should really have ace, king here, so this is a board that unless somebody absolutely gets a hold of, that I should be able to take down with force. When it checks to me, I c-bet for a small sizing just like I would do with aces, kings, or ace, king. I bet 30 into 136, and both the straddle and the low jack call. The turn brings in the 7 of hearts. Not my favorite card, but not the worst, as it doesn't really improve any hands to 2 pair. I'm just going to fire one more barrel. If they both call, I'll probably give up. I bet 120, a little bit more than half pot, and both players reluctantly fold their cards. We're on the straddle, and once again, we've got a hand. We've got pocket 10s, and the hijack raises it up to 30. The button calls. This is a rough spot to be in, out of position with pocket 10s. So I, of course, have to 3-bet. I make it 150 to go. The initial raiser in the hijack makes the call, but the button gets out of the way. So at least we're isolated. Heads up to a flop of 9-9-6. Not great for my range, but it is good for my overpair. I go ahead and c-bet 105, and the hijack gets out of the way, and we take it down. We profit $181, and we are streaking. Last hand of the night, and what do you know, how appropriate, we get the queen of hearts and the queen of clubs. 2 people limp, and sitting in the hijack, I raise to 55. The cutoff calls, the button calls, and the initial limpers fold. So we go 3 ways out of position, to a flop of Queen Jack 4 with 2 spades, top set. Ooh, that looks nice. Now, how do we play it? Obviously, nobody else is going to have top pair. So what are we trying to get value from? Maybe some straight draws and maybe some spade draws, maybe some people with a jack in their hand. There shouldn't be anybody with a set of jacks, although I suppose a set of fours is possible. If that's the case, we're probably going to double up. But outside of the set of fours, I think we're just trying to get value from hands with a jack in them or some of these hands with a draw. I bet small. I bet 50 into a pot of around 200 or so. The cutoff calls and the button folds. The turn is not what we were looking for. The king of clubs brings in 10-9 for a straight as well as ace-10. Hopefully somebody has king-jack and decided to get sticky. If that's the case, this was an excellent card, but more often than not, I don't like it. It also might kill some of the action as it's another card that I probably have in my range. Nevertheless, we've got top set. If somebody got there, good for them. They got there, but we are firing bullets on all 3 streets here. We bet 150 and the cutoff calls again. Well, one draw got there with the king and the other draws get there when the 8 of spades comes in, completing the front door flush. I didn't know what to do here. I guess I could have checked and then called it off. To be honest, I didn't really know how to play this because all the hands that we were trying to get value from at this point are probably now ahead of us. If I was in position and it checked to me, I might just check it back. But out of position, it's a tough spot. If I check, I look super weak. It's clear that I don't have a flush. And then I'm put in a really tough spot if somebody decides to jam. Let me know what you guys would do here after the hand played out the way that it did. With the king coming in on the turn and then the spade coming in on the river. How would you play this situation? I didn't want to take any more time to look weak. So I decided to put in a bet of $300, hoping to get value from hands with 1 or 2 pairs in it. If I happen to get raised and he goes all in, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll probably have to let it go depending on the stack size. But thankfully, the cutoff snap folds. Whew, thank goodness. I asked him a little bit later before I head out what he had, and he said he had a queen. Wow, that is something I did not put him on. It turns out that those scare cards scared him as well, but that's okay. We'll take the profit. After getting pocket queens 5 times and winning 4 of them, going way up, then way down, and then back up again, we cash out. We said we wanted to grind, and we said we wanted to win $300, and at the end of the day, that's what we got.
We accomplished our goal. We did it, you guys. We did it. I wish I didn't have to give back the money before I made that extra money. And I wish it could have been like a gradual build. That would have felt like such an accomplishment rather than just getting there, pissing it away, and then getting to the original goal. We cashed out for $13.20. We were in for $900. So we take a profit of $420 in, I don't know, about 4 hours. Not bad. Not bad. We achieved the original goal, even though we went a roundabout way to get there. All right. Confidence restored. Hey everybody, subscribe here to catch the latest episodes. Also, hit that like button and share these videos with anyone who might enjoy them. Doing that really helps the channel and its goal to support dog shelters. So thanks for watching Poker for Pound Pups, and have a great day.